Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This video is packed with tons of fall inspiration with do-it-yourself farmhouse style decor, and I just hope you enjoy it, so stay tuned. We are starting with this wreath that I have probably used about 20 times. I thrifted this grapevine wreath so long ago, and we're just going to now recreate it into a fun, beautiful, chic farmhouse kind of fall style wreath. And yeah, we're gonna start by painting this Dollar Tree clip little pumpkin. It's made out of foam, and it's so easy to just make into your own style. If you are going with an orangey style, you can paint them orange. If you're going with the navy blue, you can paint them more not orange, navy blue. So easy to really make it into your own style with some paint. While that dries, I am going to take these, what are these called? I know they are kind of like fallish foliage kind of thing. I got them on Amazon, and I'll have the link down below. But these are actually the real thing. They're not plastic, they're not wire. I mean, these are the real thing. So I'm just going to start placing them randomly as I see fit on the right bottom corner of the wreath. And once I had that to where where I wanted it, I'm going to take these peonies. Now, I know these aren't very fallish, but you know, I'm still pretty obsessed with these. So I'm going to use them again. But we are going to make them very fall-like. I'm just going to place them again on that same corner on the bottom. And I'm not going to hot glue or anything. If you follow me, you know that I try to avoid hot glue as much as possible. And then I'm going to take this Dollar Tree buffalo check, there you go, ribbon, and I'm gonna make a simple bow, nothing fancy, just very simple, and then hot glue it to the center in between the flowers.
Shooting me with words, but I won't let them bruise. Even though it hurts, I won't show it to you. 'Cause it will ricochet, I won't let it bite. I will look at you and tell you that
I'm going to take that little pumpkin, and it's still a little tacky. I just was impatient, I didn't want to wait. And I'm just gonna clip it to the center of the bow. I think it is so stinking cute. And I'm gonna take this Dollar Tree burlap foam pumpkin, which are absolutely beautiful, guys. If you have not been to Dollar Tree, you need to get there because their fall decorations this year are beautiful. And I'm just gonna hot glue it there to the bottom. And then now to finish things off, I'm gonna take some more of that buffalo check ribbon, and I'm just gonna make a little hanging ribbon thing on the top. And that's it, guys. This wreath was super easy, very inexpensive, and beautiful. I just really love it.
alright, like a ricochet, it will come back to you. 'Cause I don't care about you anymore. So you can't hurt me like you did before. Let me tell you, not because my eyes are open, your words will keep bouncing away. And even if you're trying to hurt me, my skin's getting thicker each day. I don't know how you fight.
I'm taking this Dollar Tree pumpkin sign. I'm going to remove everything from it. I'm also going to remove excess glue and the glitter that is on it because we are going to give it one good coat of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the, I think this is their soft pink. I don't know. It'll be linked down below.
Knowing that your words are hurtful, it's just not right. Not because my eyes are open, your words will keep bouncing away. Like a ricochet, like a ricochet.
Once that coat of paint was dry, I'm going to take Waverly Antiquing Wax, and I'm going to dry brush a little bit on the edges as well as outline the pumpkin center lines. It just makes it, it just gives it dimension, and it antiques it. It just gives it that farmhouse look that I'm looking for.
things you said. You try to turn me into somebody else, but it will ricochet. I won't let it bite. I will look at you and tell you that I'm alright. Like a ricochet, it will come back to you.
And now that everything is dry, I'm going to take more of that buffalo check ribbon and I am going to make another simple bow and glue it to the top of the pumpkin right underneath the stem.
'Cause I don't care about you anymore, so you can't hurt me like you did before. Let me tell you, not because my eyes are open, your words will keep bouncing away. And even if you're trying to hurt me, my skin's getting thicker each day. Don't know how you fall asleep at night, knowing that your words are hurtful, it's just not right. No, because my eyes are open.
I'm going to take a Dollar Tree flower. This is again from their fall collection. I'm going to remove the stem completely and I'm going to hot glue it right underneath in between the ribbon there or the bow with attach it with hot glue. And then I'm going to add the little tin leaf that came with the pumpkin originally and I'm going to glue it to that left or not left, right side of the bow.
Your words will keep bouncing away like a ricochet, like a ricochet, like a ricochet, like a ricochet.
And to finish things off, I'm going to take this Harvest galvanized word and I'm going to hot glue it to the center of the pumpkin and we will be done. This is probably such an easy way to redo and really customize Dollar Tree decor in general. I mean, think about it. If you buy these for $1 and then just add some colors here and there to match the decor that you're going for, what an awesome way to really, really add some charm to your home and yet not spend a lot of money.
Let me tell you, not because my eyes are open, your words will keep bouncing away. And even if you're trying to hurt me,
I'm going to take this scrap leftover piece of paneling that I had in my garage. I'm going to give it a coat of white chalk paint in the linen white from Rust-Oleum. It has some scrapes on the edges and I just want everything to be nice and crisp white. And I also want it to be matte and this has kind of like a sheen on top. So I'm going to give it a good just one coat and let it fully dry.
how you fall asleep at night, knowing that your words are.
Once that was dry, it's time to get things put together. I am going to take these blocks from the Dollar Tree, which are awesome. I wish I would have grabbed more, but at the time I was like, oh, 2 will be sufficient. No, I should have grabbed more. So I need to get back there and see if they have more. All right, so I'm going to place them underneath the paneling here, and I'm going to place them almost at an angle so that they do not look square when you look at this from the top. I want this to be a centerpiece for a table. I'm going to brad nail them from the top, but you can certainly hot glue them if you don't have a brad nailer. It's just that hot glue and wood, sometimes I feel like they don't stick, and I want this to be very, very sturdy. So I'm just going to brad nail them. And then once that was done, it's basically time to put things together. I'm going to put a Dollar Tree pillar candle there and some Dollar Tree florals and pumpkins. And I am going to add a peony that I got on Amazon. Again, the same ones that I used earlier. A lot of these items, guys, that are not from Dollar Tree, I do have on my Amazon store, which is linked down below. If you want to check that store out, you can.
Don't need someone to save me, no, and don't come running to blame me. From miles away, I can tell there's something's off. The way you look and how you pose.
I'm going to take this Dollar Tree pumpkin and I'm just going to give it a heavy coat of the Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the coastal blue. I'm going to go with a very bluish theme. This is a navy blue theme for today. I love it. It's not normally my style, but I wanted to bring a different idea, different style that can give you or hopefully inspire you to use what you have, use inexpensive decor, make it your own, and give it a high-end look. And I just think this pumpkin just did exactly that.
Why don't we say that it's too late for us now? Why do we stay?
After the paint was fully dry, or I thought it was fully dry, you'll see it here in a minute what I mean. I took some aluminum foil and I wrapped it around the stem. I want to create a longer stem that I can also bend into a curled stem. Now this technique and idea I got from Mama Dares to DIY. She recently did a larger pumpkin and she used this technique and I loved it, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to use that technique. And I did, and I'm so happy that I did. So basically I'm just going to wrap it around as I see fit, and it'll be thicker on the base of the stem and thinner as I go up, and then curl it as much or as little as I see fit.
When I blame you for the things that weigh me down, 'cause in the echo of your silence, I only hear what's best for me. Yeah, in the echo of your silence, I'm thinking more of her. She who wants to study your body.
So once I had the stem in the length and the style that I wanted it, I took this leftover, it was from a Dollar Tree messenger bag. It was the strap. I had these two little straps left over from it, and I thought I'm going to use it to wrap it around the stem, and I think it was perfect. I secured it with hot glue.
Who gets the better version of you? I need the better, bitter truth. I need the better version of you. I need the better version of you. Better you. You talk about faith. Is it just something you say? Or is it the same with that girl you texted when I look away? 'Cause in the echo of your silence,
I then decided that it needed a little extra detail, so I took some jute twine and wrapped it around the entire stem. That way, just kind of like in a spiral way, and that way it just adds a little bit more character and a little bit more detail. And what I really loved is that I continued it on the base of the stem to finish it off, and it just cleaned that edge off.
hear what's best for me. Yeah, in the echo of your silence, I'm thinking more of her. She who wants to study your body. Who gets the better version of you? I need the bitter, bitter truth. I need the better version of you.
Alright guys, so to finish this pumpkin off, I decided to dry brush a little bit of chalk paint. This is the Rust-Oleum in the linen white. And I'm just going to dry brush it all around. I think it adds a little bit of distress, a little bit of a dimension to it. And I just really love the way it turned out. And as you can tell, I did not let the pumpkin dry completely on the bottom. So I did leave a little residue on my tabletop there. I did not mind. It's chalk paint, it'll come off. But that's why it did that. It was completely dry on top, but on the bottom, it it left some residue. But there's what it looks like. I think this pumpkin took a whole different new life and new look, and I love the way it turned out. I'm taking this Dollar Tree pumpkin sign and these little tiny Dollar Tree pumpkins. One is from like a little, like, I don't know what this is called. It's just, it has pumpkins and footballs. And I'm just going to take one of the pumpkins and then one of these smaller pumpkins that come in a little packet. And I'm going to remove this little leaf from the larger pumpkin as well as the jute twine. And I'm going to give this larger one 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the coastal blue.
Now that I'm looking back, I can see all the signs I tried to fill in the cracks that were spread in my mind, but I was all out of hope, lost in an endless maze. The emptiness had unfolded just like a void, but you broke the coldness somehow and lit up a flame.
Once the paint was fully dry, I decided to distress it just a bit. I love distressing and with dry brushing because it just adds detail but also dimension to my home decor, and that is why I distress, but you can certainly leave it just as is. So I'm going to use my stenciling brush and Rust-Oleum chalk pen in the linen white, and I'm just going to distress the edges and then add a little bit of detail and distress to the center of the pumpkin, and again is to add detail and dimension.
Ooh, I was done feeling hopeless, screamed out loud because it felt impossible in my bones, like getting blood out of a stone on my own. But you came around and removed the thorn, and I
To finish this pumpkin off, I decided to wrap the stem using some jute twine or jute rope. I got this one on Amazon. I do have it linked in my Amazon store down below. I'm going to secure it with hot glue and just wrap it around until I like it and until I don't see any of the blue underneath.
you guided me out of the storm. I found home in your arms of gold, in your arms of gold, in your arms of gold. It's funny how easily a life can be torn apart. Why couldn't I simply see that I was sick at heart and I am in deep debt? The climb we did was unreal. You made me so speechless. I just can't believe it. You broke the coldness somehow and lit up a flame. Ooh, I was my own enemy, screamed out loud because it felt impossible in my bones, like getting blood out of a stone on my own. But you came around and removed the thorn in my soul. You guided me out of the storm. I found home in your arms of gold.
All right, so now I'm going to take the smaller pumpkin and I'm going to give it 1 coat of the Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white.
In your arms of gold, in your arms of gold, I rise from the ashes with pins and patches. We carry on.
And then after the paint was dry, I again added distress and details using the Waverly antiquing wax and my stenciling brush once again. And again, I'm just going to focus on the edges and then a little bit in the center to add dimension.
Rise from the ashes. I heal from your passion. My doubts are gone.
All right, so for the final little pumpkin here, I am going to wrap it, or I guess put some burlap on top of it. I'm going to use hot glue, and this piece of burlap is from burlapfabric.com. It was a leftover piece. They sent me some supplies a few months ago, and I had this piece left over, and I thought it would be perfect. So I'm just going to hot glue it, and then I'm going to cut the excess burlap from it so that it continues to have the same pumpkin shape.
Felt impossible in my bones, like getting blood out of the stone on my own. But you came around and removed the thorn in my soul. You guided me out of the storm. I found home in your arms of gold.
All right, so now it's time to put things together. I'm going to take these two little foam. This is foam from Dollar Tree. I took 4 little pieces and I hot glued 2 of them together. So now I have 2 thicker pieces, and it's just going to add a dimension to my design here, to my sign. So I'm going to add it to the back of the medium-sized pumpkin, and then I'm going to hot glue it to the bottom left of the pumpkin. Basically what I'm doing here, and I'm just standing up the pumpkins so that they are both I guess even on the bottom, because I want this pumpkin to be able to be hung or also put on a tabletop. And I'll do the same thing with the smaller white pumpkin.
How did we end up here in the corner, looking like enemies? We used to be the team people talk about, what a chemistry. I can see it in your eyes. You don't wanna talk anymore. I wanna get so numb while we enemies. No, you don't mind the way I stutter my words. You know exactly what it means and how it hurts. Oh, I can't believe you're here.
All right, so to finish everything, I'm going to add a jute rope bow to the smaller pumpkin. That's just to add a little bit of detail as well as to cover the tiny little hole on the stem of it. And then I am going to add some of that same jute twine on the bigger pumpkin to add so that I can hang it if I'd like. And then we'll be done with this one, guys. And I absolutely love how high-end this looks, how beautiful it looks, and we spend just a few dollars.
I just wanna get out of here. I find it so hard to breathe. 'Cause when you get too close, I lose my way and I freeze. I wish you knew what power you have over me. But now it's so hard to breathe. Just get me out of here. Just get me out of here. Just get me.
I'm going to take this Dollar Tree tin bucket. I'm going to remove the jute twine from the top. I'm not going to worry about the residue glue that is on the tin because I actually like that detail. Recently, I did another video where I took a similar tin bucket. It was a thinner one, but I gave it a more farmhouse chic look, and I loved it. It was pink. So I'm going to use a similar technique here with this bucket, but instead I'm going to use the coastal blue from Rust-Oleum chalk paint just to continue with the theme. And guys, this bucket turned out so cute. It's one of my favorite. So I'm going to give it 2 coats of this paint and then let it fully dry.
You used to be the one getting crazy when I'd be hard to reach. I can see it in your eyes. You don't wanna talk anymore. I wanna get so numb.
All right, so now that it is dry, I'm going to distress it. I'm going to give it a rusty kind of look to the bottom rim, the upper rim, and as well as a little bit on that little edge that you see lifted up there. So basically I'm using Waverly Antiquing Wax and my sponge stenciling brush, and I'm just going to dab some of the wax again on the upper and bottom rims and a little bit in the center, just to give it an illusion that it has been rusted.
save me, no, and don't come running to blame me. From miles away, I can tell that something's off. The way you look and how you pause when you talk, I think I said enough. You said your love for me something brand new. You said this is something you would never do. Here we are in your car. Let me see who you are, who you really are. Yeah. Don't need you here to say you're sorry, 'cause if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Don't take it slow, don't be gentle. No, I just gotta know, if you're gonna leave me, then just do it.
So I'm going to take some more of that burlap fabric that I had left over, and I'm going to write pumpkins 25 cents on it. And I'm going to use the thinner side of the marker, and I'm just going to freehand it. I mean, I could have used my Cricut, I could have used a stencil, but I think freehanding it just gives it that, I don't know, it's just a special look, and I just love the way it turned out. So I'm just going to
Don't need someone to save me, no, and don't come running to blame me. From miles away, I can tell that something's off.
All right, so now I am going to center it in the front of the tin bucket and secure it with hot glue. And that's it, guys. I'm going to add some pumpkins and a little bit of faux florals from the Dollar Tree. And guys, this was beautiful. I cannot wait to show you how it turned out.
No, and don't come running to blame me. From miles away, I can tell that something's off. The way you look and how you pause when you talk, I think I said enough. You said your love for me something brand new. You said this is something you would never do. Here we are in your car. Let me see who you are, who you really are. Yeah. Don't need you here to say you're sorry, 'cause if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Don't take it slow, don't be gentle. No, I just gotta know, if you're gonna leave me, then just do it.
Okay, so I'm going to take this leftover paneling that I have had in my garage for a while. I recently used another piece of the same paneling for a fall sign, but for this one I'm going to do something different. I'm using my drill here to drill a few holes all around the edge. Now I started just free-handing it, and then I decided to stop because I realized that it was curving. You see that curve? I don't want that. I've done this before, and I want to make sure that it's as straight as possible. So I'm just going to draw some straight lines on all four edges, and then I'm going to drill holes all around, and it's probably going to be about a ½ inch away from each other.
I've been lying here for too long. I don't know what else to do. I wanna get away from every little thing just to try to make it through.
Once I had all the holes drilled, I dusted everything and cleaned it off, and I'm going to give it 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white.
I've been thinking about my options, every detail in my head, but it doesn't really matter, nothing matters, so I cry instead. I've been running circles.
Okay guys, so now I am going to take some jute rope and I am going to thread it and loop it all around the edge. This took some time, I'm not gonna lie, but it was so worth it. And it was actually almost fun and therapeutic in a weird way. So I'm going to start by knotting the first one there so that I know, so it doesn't go through, obviously. And I'm just going to loop it. So it's going to go around and around until I'm completely done.
Trying to catch my breath. I've been trying everything I can, but I ain't got nothing left. I've been staring at the ceiling. I've been staying up all night. Everything I ever worked for vanished in the blink of an eye. I've been asking every question.
All right, so I'm done threading. Now I am going to take some additional jute rope here and I am going to give or stain it, maybe that's more of a paint or stain it, using the same Rust-Oleum chalk paint and the coastal blue. And I'm just going to give it one heavy coat and then remove the excess paint with a rag. And this is so that I can have the blue tone that I really love on the flower arrangement that's going to go in the center of our sign.
'Cause I haven't got a clue. Why's it gotta be me? What the hell am I supposed to do?
All right, so now I'm going to take some of these, or one of these Dollar Tree little tiny pumpkins. They are a pumpkin pick, and I'm just going to give it 2 coats again of the coastal blue Rust-Oleum chalk paint. And basically what I want is just to give it again some of that blue tone that I have been using. I like all of these. When I make a series or a video, I want to make sure that all the decorations, or at least most of the decorations, kind of match each other so that you can use in a vignette, or I just like them for them to coordinate. So I'm going to give it, and I'm sorry that I keep pulling it away from the camera. I'm going to give it 2 coats, let it fully dry, and it's the cutest little pumpkin ever. All right, now I'm going to take some of this Walmart wheat bushes that I got recently. Love these, guys. If you have a Walmart near you, I hope they have these. They're inexpensive and you can use them. I just love the tone. So I'm creating a little tiny floral arrangement for the center of my sign. I want this to have a fall kind of style to it, but with these lighter colors and of course a touch of that blue that we've been using all throughout.
I've been running circles, trying to catch my breath. I've been trying everything I can.
So after I secured it with our blue jute twine there, I am now going to put everything together and attach it to the center of the sign. But I want the sign to be a little bit different. So I'm going to kind of give it a more diamond look and secure it with hot glue to the center. And then I'm going to add a little piece of jute twine to the back, securing it with hot glue, and that's so that I can hang it with that. And then we'll be all done, guys. And I love the way this turned out as well.
Got nothing left. I've been lying here for too long. I don't know what else to do. I wanna get away from every little thing just to try to make it through. I've been thinking about my options, every detail in my head.
I am going to take these burner cover plates from the Dollar Tree and I am going to paint the top, that part. 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white.
Now that I'm looking back, I can see all the signs I tried to fill in the cracks that were spread in my mind, but I was all out of hope, lost in an endless maze. The emptiness had unfolded just like a void, but you.
I'm also going to take this tea candle holder and I'm going to also give it 2 coats. Now, I am probably the only DIYer on YouTube that has yet to make her own tier tray. So here we are. We're making a tier tray. So these are only the 3 things that you need, and literally then it cost me $2 to create this. Once the paint was dry, I'm going to take an Artisa acrylic marker and I'm just going to add some distress right on the edges, and that's it on all 3 items.
Broke the coldness somehow and lit up a flame. Ooh, I was done feeling hopeless. Screamed out loud because it felt impossible in my bones, like getting blood out of a stone on my own. But you came around and removed the thorn, and I saw you guided me out of the storm. I found home in your arms of gold, in your arms of gold, in your arms of gold. It's funny how easily
I am now going to put everything together using E6000 for a permanent hold, as well as hot glue for a more quick hold. And I am going to put the thinner part of the tea candle holder on the larger side, and then the larger side on the bottom of the smaller plate. Now, if you wondered why I placed the plate facing down versus facing up, no reason to it. I just like the way they looked more facing down than they did up. But either way, it would be fine. If you're going to do it the other way, I suggest either leaving it as is, but painting the bottom white, because then you'll be able to see it sometimes if you kind of look under the tray. But other than that, that's the reason why I kept them facing down.
life can be torn apart. Why couldn't I simply see that I was sick at heart and I am in deep debt? The climb we did was unreal. You made me so speechless. I just can't believe it. You broke the coldness somehow.
We are about done. I'm just going to dress it up with some fall decoration, and look how stunning this looks. This is my first tier tray, and I had fun. I really love the way it turned out. It's actually pretty sturdy, which I really like. And I think keeping it simple and not too heavy with the decoration is exactly what I wanted for it.
And lit up a flame. Ooh, I was my own enemy. Screamed out loud because it felt impossible in my bones, like getting blood out of a stone on my own. But you came around and removed the thorn, and I saw.
I'm going to take leftover ribbon. I don't know what to call this. It's like ribbon or strips of ribbon from from a hat that looked just like that one. I had used it for another DIY and I had a ton left over. And basically what you want to do is you want to tear off the beginning of the seam of the hat and then start pulling it apart, and then you get this beautiful ribbon that is just so awesome to DIY with. All right, so I am going to wrap the entire bowl using this ribbon. I am going to start right underneath the rim and hot glue it all around.
I found home in your arms of gold, in your arms of gold, in your arms of gold. I rise from the ashes with pins and patches. We carry on. I rise from the ashes. I heal from your passion. My doubts are gone. Felt impossible in my bones, like getting blood out.
Once I get to the part where it's like doubling up, I am going to put hot glue right on the edge of the last strip, and I'm going to overlap each strip, but very, very little. So they're going to be overlapping, but I mean hardly even anything. because I really want the entire ribbon to be seen, but I also want it to overlap so that I have a nice full covered bowl.
I've been lying here for too long. I don't know what else to do. I wanna get away from every little thing just to try to make it through. I've been thinking about my options, every detail in my head, but it doesn't really matter, nothing matters, so I cry instead. I've been running circles, trying to catch my breath. I've been trying everything I can, but I ain't got nothing left. I've been staring at the ceiling, I've been staying up all night. Everything I ever worked for vanished in the blink of an eye. I've been asking every question, 'cause I haven't got a clue. Why's it gotta be me? What the hell am I supposed to do? I've been running circles, trying to catch my breath. I've been trying everything I can, but I ain't got nothing left.
I decided not to wrap the bottom of the bowl because one, you won't be able to see it, and two, I really want the bowl to sit nice and sturdy on whatever surface I have it on. So I am going to make sure that my last wraparound is very close to the rim and leave it just like that.
And I know there's so much more.
For the rim portion, I am now going to wrap it. So what I'm going to do is add hot glue on the inside, well, not the inside, on the outside bottom of the rim, and you'll see me doing. And we're going to do, what I'm going to do is I am going to wrap it around, but leave it open for now. I just want to focus on getting it underneath the rim using hot glue again.
Would you stay till the morning light, or would you follow me, or would you let it be? If I leave tonight, we could do this right. We'll find the remedy, or would you stay with me now till the morning light? Before you turn away, I just want you to know that I didn't throw your stuff away. Before you make up your mind that I'm nowhere to find, I'm standing right here. I know that I told you we're over, I swear that I'm sober. Just listen, I miss you. And I know that I said all these things, but now when you're with her, I can see that you miss me. Would you stay till the morning light, or would you follow me, or would you let it be? If I leave tonight, we could do this right. We'll find the remedy, or would you stay with me now till the morning light? Till the morning light, till the morning light, till the morning light, yeah. Till the morning light, till the morning light.
All right, so now it's time to then wrap it around. So I am going to add hot glue on the top of the rim and wrap it around, of course, very carefully so that you don't get burnt. I do have my hot glue in the low setting, so it's a bit easier. So I have to work a little faster, otherwise it'll dry up on me, but it really sticks and dries really fast.
Maybe I'm just too weak, maybe I'm just afraid of being alone. Well, I don't care, 'cause right now I feel the
Alright, so now I'm going to add some handles, but I want the handles to actually reach all the way to the bottom of the bowl. So I am just going to hot glue and then cut as needed. And then of course, I'm going to repeat that on the other side.
Shooting me with words, but I won't let them bruise. Even though it hurts, I won't show it to you. 'Cause it will ricochet, I won't let it bite. I will look at you and tell you that I'm alright. Like a ricochet, it will come back to you. 'Cause I don't care about you anymore. So you can't hurt me like you did before. Let me tell you, not because my eyes are open, your words will keep bouncing away. And even if you're trying to hurt me, my skin's getting thicker each day. I don't know how you fall asleep at night, knowing that your words are hurtful, it's just not right. No, because my eyes are open, your words will keep bouncing away. Like a ricochet, like a ricochet, like a ricochet, like a ricochet. I used to let it in, all the things you said. You try to turn me into somebody else.
And we are just about done, guys, and I think this is my favorite from today. I absolutely loved the way this turned out.
I've been lying here for too long. I don't know what else to do. I wanna get away from every little thing just to try to make it through. I've been thinking about my options.
So I'm going to take this Dollar Tree basket and I'm going to remove the handle. This little basket is one of a set of 3 that come for $1. I also took my big, what are these, shears, and just cut that little round part that was holding the handle. I want it to have a flush rim. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dry brush very lightly some Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the aged gray. This is just for detail. This is for purposes of removing a little bit of that sheen and also adding a little bit of a farmhouse distress to it.
So you can't hurt me like you did before. Let me tell you, not because my eyes are open, your words will keep bouncing away.
I am now going to take 2 of these messenger bags that are from the Dollar Tree, and I am going to cut them because all I need is the part that's just the burlap, and I'm also going to need the strap. The part that is color, or the teal color and the purple color, I'm going to keep for another project. But for today, I just need the burlap, the plain burlap part, as well as the strap.
Even if you're trying to hurt me, my skin's getting thicker each day. I don't know how you fall asleep at night, knowing that your words are hurtful, it's just not right. No, because my eyes are open, your words will keep bouncing away like a ricochet.
All right, so now I have two pieces of the burlap. They're about a rectangular shape, and I'm going to kind of set it to where it looks like this little basket is lined with it. Now, they're not big enough to cover the entire thing, but I made it work as if it was just draped over the little basket. And I'm just going to secure it with hot glue on the inside as well as on the outside so it stays nice and secure.
Like a ricochet, like a ricochet, like a ricochet. Let me tell you, not because my eyes are open, your words will keep bouncing away. And even if you're trying to hurt me, my skin's getting thicker each day. Don't know how you fall asleep at night.
What I really like about this small basket is that it can be used in so many ways. It can be used in the bedroom just to throw like hair ties or whatever. It can be used in the kitchen, the bathroom. It has so many purposes, but I really like the way it looks with like a farmhouse fall decor, and that's what I'm doing it for.
Look out, here she comes. The woman that I love. It's too bad she'll never know. Yeah, I can't tell her how I feel, because she has someone who makes her happy. I'm a ghost in these walls, or at least I try to be. 'Cause I hope that I'm not showing how I feel for her, but she won't feel.
And then I did the same thing with the second one, and I draped it just like the first one, but on the back side. So you're still going to see a little bit of the white, but because the burlap is sort of like in an angle, it just looks like it's just draped over the basket.
Same for me. I've got this picture in my mind. It's just the two of us, just the two of us. But I know I have to try to let her go, because she won't be mine.
All right, so now I'm going to take the two straps from each bag and I'm just going to join them using hot glue. I am going to tie it around the basket towards the upper part of the basket, and then I'm going to tie a simple bow on the front. And I think it truly made the basket, and I'm so glad I used it. I thought about using, maybe nautical rope or just twine, but this one is just thick enough where it just adds a lot of character, and I really like the way it turned out. And of course, I love that I can reuse another part of these beautiful bags.
I listen when she talks, I watch her when she walks. She's giving me these feelings that I've never felt before, but she will never know that I love her so well. She's with somebody else and I will have to let her go. She will never know, nah, nah. Never know, nah, nah. She will never know, nah, nah. Never know, nah, nah. She'll never know. It's like she stole my heart.
All right, guys, so we are about done with this one. I'm just going to cut the excess straps there, and then I'm going to add some pumpkins from the Dollar Tree, and I just think it looks stunning. Look at this cute basket. I just think it has so much character, and it went from this plain little plastic basket to this beautiful little accent basket that can be used in so many areas and in so many ways.
Without knowing she did. But I guess that it will pass. Yeah, I can't be the only one who got lost.
So here we are with a leftover frame from a canvas. I think this was one of their like 8x10s from the Dollar Tree. I used Oh my gosh, I used several of them for another project and I had this one left over. Now, these painter sticks are not from the Dollar Tree. However, I do get them on Amazon and you can get them at the hardware store as well. But I get these like in a box of 200 and they're like, I think it was like 20 bucks or something. I don't remember, but it was like cents. Each painter stick is cents. So I have them on my Amazon store, which is linked down below. If you want to take a look at that, I'd love for you to check out my store anyways. But if you're interested in these painter sticks, they come in a huge box and they are individually wrapped in about 10 of them or so. So check it out. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to plank this frame using the painter sticks. I'm going to put the ruler part facing down, and I'm also going to alternate the little curved part one way, then the other way. That way I don't have the curved part in the same side. And once we paint and add all the decorations, you won't even see it. The reason why I'm staggering it, I just want this to have a very traditional planked farmhouse look, and I think it really, really looked really cute. All right, so now that I have it kind of where I want them to be, I am just going to hot glue them. This is not going to be a heavy project, so I think just hot gluing is going to be absolutely sufficient. And it was. I hung it and it really did not even move. So hot gluing it works, but you can use anything else you want. You can even staple on the edges and it should be fine.
I go, I know it won't be easy. I wanna hold her close, but I have to.
All right, so now I'm going to take the 2 extra painter sticks and I am going to just kind of mark because I'm going to add them to each side, just like kind of what you see there. And I'm going to cut them using my miter box. If you do not have I have a miter saw, but for something this thin and simple, using a miter box is really the way to go. And if you do not have a miter saw, I would really recommend you getting one of these because for small projects like this is really perfect. Just obviously be very, very careful when using it. And I do have it in my Amazon store as well. All right, so I marked and now I'm just going to cut both of these.
Try as hard as I can, 'cause she'll never be mine. I listen when she talks, I watch her when she walks. She's giving me these feelings that I've never felt before. She will never know that I love her so well. She's with somebody else and I will have to let her go. She will.
After I sanded down the edges to make sure there are no splinters, I am going to secure them to the sides of the sign using hot glue as well.
Now that I'm looking back, I can see all the signs I tried to fill in the cracks that were spread in my mind, but I was all out of hope, lost in an endless maze. The emptiness had unfolded just like a void, but you broke the coldness somehow and lit up a flame. And ooh, I was done feeling hopeless, screamed out loud because it felt impossible in my bones, like getting blood out of a stone on my own.
All right, so now everything is put together. I am going to give it just one coat of the Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white.
But you came around and removed the thorn in my soul. You guided me out of the storm. I found home in your arms of gold, in your arms of gold, in your arms of gold. It's funny how easily a life can be torn apart. Why couldn't I simply see that I was sick at heart and I am in deep debt? The climb we did was unreal. You made me so speechless. I just can't believe it. You broke the coldness somehow.
All right, so now I am going to distress it using the Waverly Antiquing Wax and my stenciling brush. And I'm just going to go very lightly until I feel comfortable with the way it's coming out. And I'm just going to focus on the edges and a little bit in the center just with a dry brush technique.
But you
So I am going to use one of these Dollar Tree, not pumpkin, footballs. And I'm going to stain it using the Waverly Antiquing Wax as well. And I'm just going to stain like 2/3 of it. That's all I'm going to need to stain. And then I'm going to wipe off the excess. Once I was done with the staining, I am now going to use leftover nautical rope from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to start making cuts. I'm going to wrap the top. We're making a little acorn. So I'm going to wrap the part where we did not stain, and I'm going to hot glue it. So basically what I want to do is I'm going to cut them overlapping the edges, but not too much, but I want to keep it kind of with the same shape as the acorn on the top, but overlapping the edges a little bit.
Look out, here she comes, the woman that I love. It's too bad she'll never know. Yeah, I can't tell her how I feel, because she has someone who makes her happy. I'm a ghost in these walls, or at least I try to be. 'Cause I hope that I'm not showing how I feel for her, but she won't feel the same for me. I've got this picture in my mind. It's just the two of us, just the two of us. But I know I have to try to let her go, because she won't be mine. I listen when she talks, I watch her when she walks. She's giving me these feelings that I've never felt before, but she will never know that I love her so.
And then, of course, we want to add the, the little top there, stem. And then I did ended up adding one more longer strip to the bottom one, to the first row. I just felt like it needed that one to be a little thicker. And you'll see it when I put it all together. All right, so the paint is dry, the dry brushing is dry. Now it's time to put everything together. I'm going to add the leftover of the leftover rope, and I'm going to hot glue it to the back, and that's what I'm going to use to hang this with. And then I am going to then hot glue the acorn, which I thought turned out so stinking cute. This is a football, guys, and we turned it into an acorn. And I'm just going to hot glue it to the bottom left. And then I'm going to add some florals from Walmart that I recently got. These are part of a huge little bundle that I got recently, and super cute, great quality. And I'm just going to hot glue 2 little branches on the opposite side. And then I am going to add a bow, a buffalo check bow to the top of the sign. And then I'm going to make a little burlap bow, and that's just to cover the glue that I am putting in right now to hold together these little florals.
I've been lying here for too long. I don't know what else to do. I wanna get away from every little thing just to try to make it through. I've been thinking about my options, every detail in my head, but it doesn't really matter, nothing matters, so I cry instead. I've been running in circles, trying to catch my breath. I've been trying everything I can, but I ain't got nothing left. I've been staring at the ceiling, I've been staying up all night.
I am using this scrap piece of paneling, and the one side has the paneling kind of textured side, which maybe in the future I'll use for another DIY, but for this DIY I'm going to use the back side. By looking at it, you might think I'm absolutely insane because it looks so crazy looking, but that's just old glue from the paneling. And it is sanded, it is soft, it's not textured. So I am going to use that side because I'm loving the way it looks, and I am going to dry brush white chalk paint by Rust-Oleum in the linen white. Basically very little dry brushing. I'm just going to add enough to where I like what I see, and then once it's done, I'm going to give it a light sand.
Now that I'm looking back, I can see all the signs I tried to fill in the cracks.
Now that the paint is fully dry, I am going to lightly sand using a 220 grit sandpaper. I basically just want to soften the dry brushing.
That was spreading my mind, but I was all out of hope. Lost in an endless maze, the emptiness had unfolded, just like a void. But you broke the coldness.
To kind of freehand here the words "Hello Fall" on the bottom right of the sign. And basically, I am very nervous. I always get nervous when I have to freehand because I don't want to mess it up after I already painted it. But it is what it is. I have to be brave. All right, so here I am using the pencil again just to freehand the word "Hello Fall."
Look out, here she comes. The woman that I love. It's too bad she'll never know. Yeah, I can't tell her how I feel, because she has someone who makes her happy. I'm a ghost in these walls, or at least I try to be. 'Cause I hope that I'm not showing how I feel for her, but she won't feel the same for me. I've got this picture in my mind. It's just the two of us, just the two of us. But I know I have to try to let her go, because she won't be mine. I listen when she talks.
All right, so while the letters dry, I am now going to take this Dollar Tree wooden pumpkin. They have them, I think it's meant for like a little banner, but I got them because they're just so easy to customize. So I'm going to give it one coat of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white, and I'm going to let it dry. This is just going to add a little fall detail to the sign.
Because it felt impossible in my bones, like getting blood out of the stone on my own. But you came around and removed the thorn in my soul. You guided me.
Before I attach the pumpkin, I want to drill 2 holes on the top because that's where I'm going to put the jute twine so that I can hang the sign. To attach the little pumpkin, I'm going to use this tiny little clothespin. Now, it's not going to actually be attached by it. It's just going to be more for looks. I'm actually going to attach the pumpkin with hot glue. But that way, it gives the illusion that it's hanging from the little clothespin. But I just thought it looked really cute. And it also covers that little tiny hole, which I could have covered with some wood filler or putty. But hey, I forgot, and it's okay because the little clothespin looks really cute.
Felt impossible
We are just about done with this one, guys, and I absolutely love the style of this sign.
But you came around and removed the thorn in my soul. You guided me out of the storm. I found home in your arms of gold. In your arms of gold. In your arms of gold. I rise from the ashes with pins and patches. We carry on. I rise from
Here, this was an old piece of scrap wood that I had in the garage. It was a longer piece and I cut it in half. I absolutely love all the texture that already has on it. It has old wood or nail holes, and it has a nail sticking out of it, and all that texture all around the edges. I just thought it looked perfect for a nice farmhouse style sign. So I'm going to dust it off really well, and then I'm going to attach the two pieces plank style using two pieces of scrap 1x2s, wood glue, and brad nails. If you do not have brad nails, you can certainly use regular wood or hammer and nails, and it should work perfectly fine.
I've been lying here for too long. I don't know what else to do. I wanna get away from every little thing just to try to make it through. I've been thinking about my options, every detail in my head. But it doesn't really matter, nothing matters, so I cry instead. I've been running circles, trying to catch my breath. I've been trying everything I can, but I ain't got nothing left. I've been staring at the ceiling.
And then, of course, once it was nicely attached, I am now going to give it 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white.
I've been staying up all night. Everything I ever worked for vanished in the blink of an eye. I've been asking every question, 'cause I haven't got a clue. Why's it gotta be me? What the hell am I supposed to do? I've been running circles, trying to catch my breath.
The paint now is fully dry, and can you see the yellowing it got? That's because I actually did not clean the wood. This is what happens. But honestly, I knew it would happen, but I want this to have such a farmhouse old style wood sign that I actually was hoping it got a little bit of stain, and as you can see, I am distressing it pretty heavily, so a lot of that yellowing went away along with the distress. But I really want this to look like it's been out and about, like the wood just got weathered naturally, and that's exactly, I think, what I got. Now, using an electric sander makes things a lot more distressed, which is what I wanted, and makes it a lot easier and faster, but you can certainly distress by hand using sandpaper. I used a 120 grit sandpaper, but you can certainly use that or anything else. It just depends how quickly and how much you want to distress.
I've been trying everything I can, but I ain't got nothing left.
So I basically just stenciled the words first because I thought I wasn't going to add the little 2 details on the top on the bottom, but then I ended up adding it. So you're going to see that here in a few seconds that I ended up adding them to the sign.
And I know there's so much more to this life, but it's hard to see it clearly. Yeah, I tried my best, but nothing turns out right. God, I need you now so dearly, 'cause I've been
Alright guys, so now it's time to add some faux florals. Now, boxwood is not very fall-like, but I wanted to add something that was going to add some fullness to the sign. And I just really wanted to just add that green tone to it. So I'm adding now some fall style foliage, I guess, or florals. And then I'm going to secure it using this pipe clamp that you can get on Amazon. You can get them at the hardware store. You can get them in different sizes. This is the 1/2 inch, which to me, it has worked to create handles on trays. I've used them all the time, but in this case, I'm going to use it to clamp down the florals. Now, they're not completely tightened, which is okay because then I can change the florals as I want. So it worked out really well, and I'm just going to secure it with small screws.
But I ain't got nothing left.
And we are just about done with this one, guys. Look how stinking cute farmhouse style sign this is. I absolutely love it.
I've been running circles, trying to catch my breath. I've been trying everything I can. I ain't got nothing left. Nothing left.
This one is made out of foam board from the Dollar Tree. I wanted to use different techniques. I wanted to use, like, we first used the scrap paneling with the dry brush technique. Then we used the scrap wood plank style technique with the one we just saw. Very distressed using sandpaper and the sander. And now we're using foam board from the Dollar Tree. And really, you can do any size. Now, for purposes of this video, I did 10 inches. You can use 12, 10, 9, it doesn't matter. It just depends how big you want the sign. So I marked 10 inches and then I drew a line, and now I'm just cutting it. I'm not cutting all the way through, just halfway through the board, and then I'm going to snap it, as you can see there, and then I'm going to flip it, and I'm just going to cut the other side using the blade knife. And that's just because it was a very long piece of foam board. So, and then after that, I just started cutting just to the part where I wanted it to see. So like I said, this is very customizable and you can do whatever you want. What I'm looking for here, I want 4 pieces of 3-inch by 10-inch foam board.
Now that I'm looking back, I can see all the signs I tried to fill in the cracks that were spread in my mind, but I was all out of hope, lost in an endless maze. The emptiness had unfolded just like a void.
Alright guys, so now I have those 4 pieces. They're 3 inches wide and they are 10 inches long. Now, this cutting mat was also sent to me by Artisa. I had yet to get one, and when they sent it to me, I was so excited. It is a self-leveling cutting mat. And let me tell you, I was so nervous to cut on it because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like, can I cut on this thing? But yes, that's what it's called, a cutting mat, and absolutely love it. And I'm so happy I got it. So check out, again, the link down below for any of these supplies that you see from Artisa. All right, so here's what I'm doing with this. I am now going to randomly make different cuts on these strips of foam board. I want this to have a palette style, let's see, kind of like planked style, palette style sign. And if you have seen like old palettes, they are randomly cut. They have pieces in the corners missing, and you'll see what I'm talking about as I put things together. So I'm just going to make some random cuts in different angles, different sizes on each strip.
You broke the coldness somehow and lit up a flame. Ooh, start feeling hopeless, screamed out loud because it felt impossible in my bones, like getting blood out of a stone on my own. But you came around and removed the thorn in my soul. You got it.
All right, so now that I have the cuts made, I'm just going to kind of put them together until I see that I like what I see. And then I'm going to flip them over, not turning over because then they're going to sit, it's going to switch the alignment or how I have them lined up. So I'm going to flip them over, and now I'm going to use a scrap piece of the foam board, and I'm going to hot glue it in the back, and that'll secure all the pieces together.
Unreal, you made me so speechless. I just can't believe it. You broke the coldness somehow and lit up a flame. Ooh, I was my own enemy. Screamed out loud because it felt impossible.
I am going to give everything one coat of the Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white, and this is just so that they have that crisp white look, and then also to give it that matte look that I want.
In my bones, like getting blood out of the stone on my own. But you came around and removed the thorn in my soul. You guided me out of the storm. I found home in your arms of gold.
Alright guys, so now it's time to add some distress to it. Again, I want this to have a farmhouse look, so I'm going to use Waverly Antiquing Wax and my stippling brush or stenciling brush. And I'm just going to start highlighting or antiquing those edges. Everywhere where there's a cut, an edge, seam, anywhere, I'm going to add a little bit of the antiquing wax. And then I'm also going to dry brush a little bit of distress all over the planks.
Arms of gold. In your arms of gold. In your arms of gold. I rise from the ashes with pins and patches. We carry on. I rise from the ashes. I heal from your passion. My doubts are gone. Felt impossible in my bones, like getting blood out of the stone on my own. But you came around and removed the thorn in my soul. You guided me out of the storm. I found home in your arms of gold. In your arms of gold.
Alright, so now everything is put together and dry. I am going to start adding the details. I'm going to add this galvanized thankful word on the bottom right of the sign. I'm just going to hot glue it. This is from the Dollar Tree.
In your arms of gold, I rise from the ashes with pins and patches. We carry on. I rise from the ashes. I heal from your passion. My doubts are gone.
And now I'm going to add some of these tiny yellow sunflowers from the Dollar Tree. They're super cute. I got them in 2 different sizes. And I'm just going to randomly put them where I think they're going to look nice. I'm going to hot glue them to the planks.
Look out, here she comes. The woman that I love.
Alright guys, so now I'm going to add some stems to these little flowers using the acrylic marker from Artisa in the forest green. And then there's no right or wrong way. I'm just adding stems from the flower all the way to the bottom. And then I wanted to add a little bit of dimension, so I added right on top of it, but you can still see some of the green. I added some of the Van Dyke brown acrylic marker, and again, this is just to add a little bit of dimension, but at the same time, just add some like color and darken up that stem. And then once I was done with that, it was time to add a little bit of the Farmhouse kind of like fall little stems. I don't know what these are called, but I'm just going to hot glue them where I see fit.
It's too bad she'll never know. Yeah, I can't tell her how I feel, because she has someone who makes her happy. I'm a ghost in these walls, or at least I try to be. 'cause I hope that I'm not showing how I feel for her, but she won't feel the same for me. I've got this picture in my mind.
To finish off this little floral area, I'm just going to freehand here a very simple jute twine bow, and I'm going to hot glue it to the center kind of bottom of the little area there with the flowers.
It's just the two of us, just the two of us. But I know I have to try to let her go, because she won't be mine. I listen when she talks, I watch her when she walks. She's giving me these feelings that I've never felt before, but she will never know.
All right, so to finish things off, I'm just going to add jute twine to the top, and I'm just looking here for kind of like the center and see how long I want this. And I'm just going to knot it on the end and then hot glue it in the back to secure it, and we'll be done with this one.
I love her so well. She's with somebody else, and I will have to let her go. She will never know none.
And here it is, guys. Look how beautiful this looks. Can you believe this is foam board? Even in person, it just looks so authentic, and I really love the style, and you really can customize it. You can make it even longer and make a very long sign. I just really love the way this looked.
Never know none. She will never know none. Never know none. She'll never know. It's like she stole my heart.
So I am going to use a Dollar Tree fall sign that is already done and finished, and you can certainly use it with these colors and this style. But if this is not the style or the colors you're using, you can certainly customize it as I am doing today. I removed the jute twine from the top, and now I'm going to give it 2 coats of the Rust-Oleum chalk paint and the linen white.
But I guess that it will pass. Yeah, I can't be the only one who got lost inside the blue of those eyes.
Once the 2 coats were fully dry, I am now going to paint the ribbon in the middle, which was a kind of like it was lifted. As you can see, it was an attachment on the sign. And I'm going to use here bare chalk paint in the pale sepia. And this is a beautiful beige tone, but it has like a gray undertone, and I really love it. I've used it on several projects, including furniture, and it's beautiful. Anyways, I'm just going to do 1 coat on the ribbon and then let it dry.
I've gotta let her go. I know it won't be easy. I wanna hold her close, but I have to try as hard as I can, 'cause she'll never be mine. I listen when she talks, I watch her when she walks. She's giving me these feelings that
Okay, so it's time to distress to give it that farmhouse style that I am looking. I am going to use the Waverly antiquing wax again, sorry, with the stenciling brush, and I'm just going to focus on the edges as well as anything that is white. I'm just going to add again that distress look, dry brushing it to give it that farmhouse look.
never felt before. She will never know that I love her so well. She's with somebody else, and I will have to let her go. She will never know, never know, she will never know, never know, she will never know, never know, she will never know, she'll never know.
Alright, so now I am going to use acrylic marker from Artisa in the Van Dyke Brown again, and I'm going to use it to add some details to the entire edge of the sign. And I'm going to do that just to add again a detail, and it just adds a little bit of a kind of like a stitched look, and I just thought it looks super cute. And I'm also going to outline the edge of the ribbon to add some dimension to it.
Don't need someone to save me. No, talk, I think I said enough. You said your love for me something brand new. You said this is something you would never do. Here we are in your car. Let me see who you are, who you really are. Yeah. Don't need you here to say you're sorry. 'Cause if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Don't take it slow, don't be gentle. No, I just gotta know if you're gonna leave me, then just do it.
I am now going to add a galvanized welcome word to the ribbon portion, and I'm just going to hot glue it to secure it.
Let's be honest for a second.
All right, so I'm going to take another one of those little wooden pumpkins from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to again give it one coat of the Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white.
Yeah, you're being over your head, babe. 'Cause there is no one other than me that can make you feel the way you feel when I hold you.
Once again, I'm going to use the Artisa acrylic marker in the Van Dyke Brown, and I am going to just give it some details. I'm going to fill in the stem of the pumpkin. I'm going to outline all the edge of the pumpkin, as well as add some details to the middle of the pumpkin to give it more of a, I guess, detailed pumpkin look.
Said enough. You said your love for me something brand new. You said this is something you would never do. Here we are in your car. Let me see who you are, who you really are. Yeah, don't need you here to say you're sorry. 'Cause if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Don't take it slow, don't be
All right, now I am going to secure the little pumpkin to the center bottom of the sign.
gentle. No, I just gotta know if you're gonna leave.
And now I am going to take these yellow farmhouse style fall-like florals. That is another long title. Just removing some of the tiny little stems, and I'm just going to hot glue them there to the left side of the pumpkin. And basically this will finish it off. I did add jute twine to the top, basically just to hang it, but we will be done. And look how cute this looks. I mean, think about where it started, and if you like that style, absolutely, it was beautiful. But if it's not your style, you can customize it to whatever you want. Guys, as we are finishing off here with a ribbon from the Dollar Tree, just gonna make a little simple bow and hot glue it to the bottom of the floral. I am going to use this placemat from the Dollar Tree. I am going to mark 2 inches on each side, and then I'm going to draw lines because I am going to cut. I'm going to need 6 2-inch strips. And then once I have the strips cut, I am going to cut angles on each side, so making them into like almost like arrows. And then I'm going to give it 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white, and I'm only going to paint the side that the writing is on. The other side is going to be inside of the pumpkin, and it's already a lighter color, so I'm okay leaving it as is. And then once they were fully dry, I am now going to crisscross them, and I am going to just crisscross all of them kind of as even as I can. And you can hot glue this, but I didn't want to add more thickness to the bottom. I want to be able for it to be as flat as possible. So I decided to just place that little Dollar Tree little wood like little branch stump, I don't know what they are, and I flipped it over and then I stapled it using my staple gun from the bottom. And now I am going to start folding each strip towards the little wooden trunk there and stapling them. And this is why we created them into little pointy arrows, because that way it's less thickness going into that center portion there. And I'm just going to fold them as they are. So whatever is on whichever strip is first in line, that one I fold first, and that's how I keep going. And then once I had all the strips nicely secured, I cut just a little excess of that last strip, and I'm going to put a big glob of hot glue, and now I'm going to use a thinner wood piece of, are they little tiny trunks? Wood pieces? I don't know. And then I'm going to take some Dollar Tree ribbon. I just got this at the Dollar Tree in their fall decor area. And I'm just going to grab a piece and I'm going to make a simple knot. And once I did that, then I am going to add a little tiny sunflower that I also just got on a Dollar Tree haul. And if you have not seen that video, I just posted it this weekend on my other channel, in my home channel. So if you want to check that out, I'll have that channel linked down below. And I'm just going to place that little tiny sunflower right there on the knot, and then we'll be all done. DIY, I am going to again use a placemat from the Dollar Tree. This time I am going to freehand a pumpkin on the back of it, and nothing fancy, just a pumpkin. I am not the biggest artist, drawer, but hey, a pumpkin I think I can do. And then once I have it, I'm just going to cut it out. Now I'm going to take popsicle sticks from the Dollar Tree. These are the thicker kind, and I'm just going to start covering it. I am going to overlap the edges, so all around the edges is going to be overlapped. Now in the areas where it's on top of the pumpkin, I am going to cut the round part off. And I am going to hot glue them in place until the entire pumpkin is covered in the popsicle sticks and there's enough overflowing on the edges. And now that everything is covered and hot glued, I am going to cut the excess popsicle sticks that are, overflowing or over the edge of the pumpkin. And I am using these clippers. I actually just recently got these from Amazon. I do have them on my Amazon store now, which is linked down below. And they're wonderful. They cut through these. And I know these aren't like the thickest, strongest popsicle sticks, but they do cut really, really nice. And I actually got them to cut through like tin cans when I do trash to treasures, but I thought it would be appropriate for this, and it worked really, really well. So I'm just going to keep trimming off the excess popsicle sticks. Now I am going to stain the wood using Waverly Antique Wax, and this is water based, and it's a nice alternative to stain. I'm not a big fan of this color myself if I were to leave it wood tone, but I'm not. I just want a darker tone underneath, but I'm gonna give it one coat and then wipe off the excess using a damp rag. And then once that was dry, or almost dry, I think I should have waited a little longer for it to dry, I'm going to dry brush some Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white. And I gave it 2 rough coats. Rough meaning that they're not full coverage, because I do want it to have a rustic farmhouse look. And using a 120 grit sandpaper, I am going to rough it up a little bit and just sand it down just a bit.
End up here in the corner looking like enemies. We used to be the team people talk about, what a chemistry. I can see it in your
And now I'm going to take some jute rope, and I am going to secure the beginning piece in the back with hot glue, and I'm going to wrap it around a few times. I want to cover that little area where the popsicle sticks meet. I think hindsight, looking back, if I were to create something like this again, I would have shiplapped a little bit more, staggering that seam better so that the seam doesn't fall on that same spot. But in this case, I think the jute twine did a really good job, and it just adds that farmhouse charm to it.
eyes. You don't wanna talk anymore. I wanna get so numb while we enemies.
Then to finish it off, I'm just going to add these yellow baby's breath, which are beautiful. It has that fall burnt orangey kind of yellowish color, and it looks really good. I'm just going to take a few little branches, and I'm just going to add them in between the jute twine there. I'm not going to hot glue or anything because it's pretty snug as it is. And then guys, we'll be all done with this one, and I think this one is so stinking cute. I love it.
No, you don't mind the way I stutter my words. You know exactly what it means and how it hurts. Oh, I can't believe you're here. Can't get any worse. No, no. I just wanna get out of here. I find it so hard to breathe. 'Cause when you get too close, I lose my way and I freeze. I wish you knew what power you have over me, but now it's so hard to breathe. Just get me out of here.
Alright guys, so now I'm going to take this jar from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to remove the lid. I drilled a hole right in the center of the lid, and then I grabbed these 2 other wood stumps here, and I'm going to drill on one of them all the way through in the middle, and then on the other one only halfway through. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to give just the lid 2 coats of Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the linen white.
Just get me out of. How can you be so calm around me when I act desperately? You used to be the one getting crazy when I'd be hard to reach. I can see it in
Now I'm going to put everything together, and I'm just going to grab a regular wood screw and screw it from the inside of the lid all the way in. And then I'm going to take the little wood stump that has the hole all the way through, and I'm going to screw it all the way in. And then I'm going to take the other little wood stump, and I'm just going to screw it in all the way until it tightens onto everything else. I'm going to create a pumpkin as well, but this one is going to have the little wooden stem right on top of the lid. And instead of just hot gluing it, because I haven't been very successful hot gluing these little wood stumps, I just thought screwing them would do the work, and it worked like magic. All right, so now I'm going to leave the jar just like is, and I'm just going to add some more of those baby's breaths right inside the jar to give it that farmhouse fall like charm to it, that color. But I mean, this jar can be used for anything. It could be used for in the bathroom, it can be used in the kitchen, but I just decided to use it more as a decor, and I'm just going to add these baby's breath to it.
Wanna get so numb, wanna get so numb, were we enemies? No, you don't mind the way I spell my words. You know exactly what it means, and how it
Then took some of that same ribbon I used earlier, and I am going to cut a longer piece off of it, and I'm going to wrap it around right underneath the lid, and I'm going to make a simple bow. And then I'm going to add an even smaller little sunflower that I got at the Dollar Tree right in the center of the bow, and we'll be done with this one.
I can't believe you're here. Can't get any worse. No. I just wanna get out of here. I find it so hard to breathe. 'Cause when you get too close, I lose my way and I freeze. I wish you knew what power you have over me. But now it's so hard to breathe. Just get me out of here.
And look how beautiful this jar turned out, and so simple and so inexpensive.
Would you stay till the morning light? Or would you follow me? Or would you let it be? If I leave tonight, we could do this right. We'll find the remedy. Or would you stay with me now till the morning light? Before you turn away, I just want you to know.
Okay guys, so this wreath I thrifted last year. This is a video that I did for last year's decorations for fall, but I wanted to put it in because, you know, it just proves that you can take things that are very inexpensive and things that you already have around the house and not have to buy new things. So I thrifted this wreath, and it had like a 4th of July theme. So I removed everything from it, and it did have some glue, some old glue on it, but I didn't mind because I was going to cover it up anyways. I started pulling all these leftover florals. Last year I had a very light color neutral theme for my decorations, and these were some of the leftover Dollar Tree florals that I had just laying around. And I just started pulling things, just setting things aside, cutting them, and just putting them in little bundles. That way I know what I had, and I knew how to, or I knew where I was in regards to florals. And then I started just kind of eyeing out, just kind of wanted to see what I wanted to, how I wanted to decorate it. So I just started placing florals here and there, trying to keep things very even to the eye, but again, just having fun.
You say take me on a treasure hunt. I long for something new. Have you heard the fairies when they sing and dance? Oh, I wish it was me every night. When I close my eyes, I see beauty lives in me. I know I don't yet know it, so I trust you when you say that
So as you can tell, I just kind of went around and filled it as best as I could and just kind of keeping the florals very even on all the sides. And I did find those picks there that were kind of grassy, and I just thought I think it would look great right there on the bottom. And then these cotton stems were, gosh, I don't even remember where I got them, but I knew that I've had them and I just started placing them again, just filling in some of the holes. I then took this Dollar Tree ribbon. It's like a burlap ribbon and it has the chevron white design on it. And I just made a simple bow. I like to keep things simple. So I just made a simple bow and tied it in the middle with some jute twine and then attached it to the bottom of the wreath.
Beauty lives in me. I know I don't yet know it, so I trust you when you say that beauty lives in me too. It's gonna take some time to get there. I don't care, I don't care. I'm in for the fight. It's gonna take some time, but I know that beauty lives in me. I know I don't yet know it, so I trust you when you say that beauty.
And then I wanted to add a little bit more detail, so I grabbed this little pumpkin that I had. I ordered these online on Amazon last year, and I just placed it right in the center of the bow. I do have them in my Amazon store link down below if you are interested. They do have them again this year. And so then I just finalized things with adding more ribbon to the top of the wreath so that I can hang it in on my door on my porch.
Trust you when you say that beauty lives in me too. Beauty lives in me. I know I don't yet.
And then it was time to get it on my porch. So I put one of these command hooks, one of the larger ones, and I placed it on the door. And it's still there to this day. I have used it in all my seasons. I put it on backwards. That way I can bring the ribbon around through the top of the door and then tie it in a knot where I want it, like depending on the height that I want the wreath, and then hook it in the back. And this is exactly what I still have. So it's just a little tip for you if you don't know how to hang and you don't want anything like if you don't want to have to always buy those hooks for wreaths, you can always do this.
Don't need someone to save me.
And there's what it looks like. I thought it turned out super cute and it was like really inexpensive. It's just things that I had at home already. All I paid was for the wreath and it was just a couple of dollars at the thrift store and I'm very happy with the way it turned out.
And don't come running to blame me. From miles away, I can tell that something's off. The way you look and how you pause when you talk, I think I said enough. You said your love for me something brand new. You said this is something you would never do. Here we are in your car. Let me see who you are.
Okay guys, so to finalize this video today, I thought I'd show you how my porch looked last summer. So this is not this summer, last summer, and I am going to start turning it into the decorations for fall. So I just wanted to finish the video with this one. Soon I'll be decorating for my fall porch here this year in 2020, but I wanted to show you kind of how it turned out for the 2019 fall video.
I would be up waiting for you if you had to leave. I would wait a lifetime if you.
All right, so I needed to give this porch such a bad clean. We get so many spiders here in where I live and spider webs. So I cleaned the entire porch and I just gave it a little refresh and get it ready for the decorations.
I would wait a lifetime if you were at sea. I just wanna say that I feel that our love is real. Maybe we should hurry up and seal the deal.
I got this chair and this stool at I don't even remember. I think it was Marketplace. And last year I did a trash to treasure, and I just made them up and made them very farmhouse. So I've been reusing them over and over again since then, and I really love their style and the look, and I'm so glad that I did that. All right, so I still had those, the summer teal color in the planter. So instead of painting them, which I thought about doing, I just thought, let me just cover them up with some burlap fabric that I had. I think I got that burlap fabric, like, oh my gosh, I think it was at Walmart. It was so long ago now, I don't remember, but it was just in my stash. And so I thought I'm just going to wrap them up and give it more of a fall look.
I just wanna love you right. Love you till the end of time. I just wanna hold you for forever. Every day you're making me better. 'Cause a love like this is rare. And I wanna take you there. I would give it all away to do it all again. Make our love a story that would never end. Never thought I'd feel so alive, looking in your eyes. I just wanna love you till the day I die. Oh, oh, I just wanna love you right. Oh, oh, love you till the end of time.
I then decided to paint the bottom of the, or not the bottom, but the planter of the mums that I got at the hardware store, basically because I just didn't want to replant them. I was soon going to change them anyways into Christmas decorations. So I thought giving them a fresh look to match the style of my decoration was perfect. I then took the welcome sign that I had on my porch and I flipped it over. I am going to just give it the same style. It's going to say welcome, but I'm going to stain it and then paint the letters on it. That way I have a two-way sign and I still use it till this day. I have it right now on the white side. So I thought it was just a clever way to use it in different seasons. So that's what we'll be doing with that one.
I just wanna hold you for forever. Every day you're making me better. 'Cause a love like this is rare. And I wanna take you there. If I'm gonna love somebody, I just wanna love you. If I'm gonna love somebody, I just wanna love you. If I'm gonna love somebody, I just wanna love you. If I'm gonna love somebody, I just wanna love you. Oh, oh, I just wanna love you right.
And now it's time to just put everything on the porch. And I really love the way this simple summer to fall refresh on my porch last year turned out. And I cannot wait to do mine for this year. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I just wanted to bring you a whole ton of inspiration, a lot from this year, but also a little bit from last year. And yeah, I hope you're enjoying the season. I hope you're getting your decorations up and going for fall. And thanks for coming by if this is your first time visiting. I hope you consider subscribing and joining our YouTube family. And if you are returning, as always, you know that I'm so appreciative of your time. And guys, just thank you so much and have a blessed day.